What is going on, everybody? Nick Costa here, and welcome to this video lesson on groove number 1 from the 8th note pattern section of the groove library from the Zildjian drum set method. This video will help you learn groove number 1 from the 8th note pattern section of the groove library, and then once you get more familiar with it, you're going to see a couple examples on how you can change up how the dominant hand is played to help shape the groove. I'm excited to get into this with all of you, so let's get started. So when it comes to playing grooves, you always want to start out with the basic meat and potatoes, meaning that when you are playing in a standard 4/4 time, your bass drum is played on beats 1 and 3, and your snare drum is played on beats 2 and 4. So just like you did in the quarter note pattern section, you're going to do the same exact thing in the 8th note section. The difference this time is that your dominant hand is playing a steady 8th note pulse rather than a quarter note pulse. So let's go ahead and break down this groove. Your dominant hand is going over to the ride cymbal, and your non-dominant hand is going to the snare drum. Now, in order to play this groove, you're going to play the bass drum and the ride cymbal together on beat 1. You're then going to play the ride cymbal by itself on the end of beat 1. Play both of your hands on beat 2, and then once again play the ride cymbal by itself on the end of beat 2. Now for beats 3 and 4, you rinse and repeat. So bass drum and ride cymbal again on beat 3, ride cymbal by itself on the end of beat 3, both of your hands on beat 4, and then finally the ride cymbal by itself on the end of beat 4. Now to get familiar with this groove, let's take it nice and slow. Play along with me for the next 16 measures at 60 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, so now that you've had that opportunity to try out the groove, let's try another exercise. Play along with me once again for 16 measures. This time the tempo, however, is going to be at 75 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, so now that you've had the opportunity to play that dominant hand on the ride cymbal, it's time to move it over to the hi-hat. Now you're going to notice when you're playing the hi-hat, just by how you strike them and where you strike them, it's going to change the sound a little bit. Now you can strike the hi-hats with the tip of the stick on the top center section of the bow. You can also strike with the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the hi-hats. Now you can also play a combination of the two, where you're striking the shoulder of the stick on the edge of the hats for your downbeats and the tip of the stick on the top of the hats for the upbeats or the ends. Now, as you're getting familiar with this groove, however, don't worry about how you're playing the hi-hats. Just make sure that you're playing a consistent 8th note pulse. So go ahead and play along with me once again for another 16 measures. This time, however, we're going to play at 85 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and... right, so now that you've had that opportunity to play the dominant hand on both the ride cymbal and the hi-hat, start to experiment with how the dominant hand is played to help shape the groove. Once again, this is part of the video lesson where you get to work on your improvisational and musicianship skills. And just by changing how you play that dominant hand, it's going to help shape the groove. Also, if you move it to various sections of the kit, say the floor tom, maybe crash cymbals, or even the rims of your toms, you're going to notice that's going to help change the sound even more. Now, although I want you to be creative and come up with your own ideas, here are just a few examples to get you started. I'm going to play the groove for 24 measures at 100 BPM. 1, 2, ready, and... Okay, so to recap, in this video lesson, you learned groove number 1 from the 8th note pattern section of the groove library from the Zildjian drum set method. Now, if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and either myself or someone from Zildjian will try and help out in any way that we can. And while you're here on the Zildjian Learning Zone YouTube channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. That way you're notified of any additional content that gets uploaded to the channel. Finally, if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend that you check out the educational section of Zildjian's website. There you're going to find a ton of helpful content for either yourself or that drummer in your life progress in their journey. And that is it. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hopefully you've gotten something from it. And until next time, see you later.